Hey everyone, Casey McEwen here, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that matters to so many people considering a move to North Texas, and that is the real cost of living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in 2025. Now we'll break down housing, utilities, transportation, taxes, and lifestyle spending, and we'll get real about the pros and cons because yes, while there are a lot of upsides, there are certainly trade-offs too. And if you're thinking about moving here or just curious about what your budget may get you, stick around and stay tuned for this entire video. Now let's start with arguably the biggest piece of the puzzle, and that's going to be housing. Whether you're renting or purchasing, where you live and how much you want to spend will probably dominate your monthly budget. Now in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or DFW, housing remains relatively competitive compared to other major metros. Now in the city of Dallas proper, home prices are tracking roughly about $425,000 in recent data. Meanwhile, nationally, many markets, especially on the coasts, are much higher, and a regional cost of living study noted that DFW's housing costs are about 50% lower than the average of other major metropolitan areas by population. Now, if you're renting, the numbers are also revealing here as well. A one-bedroom apartment in Dallas runs about $1,400 a month, while in Fort Worth, you may find something as close to $1,200 a month. Now, compare that to high-cost metropolitan areas where one bedrooms can run upwards of $2,500, maybe $3,000 or more. So if you're coming from a high-rent city, DFW offers relief. Now, if you're coming from a lower-cost area, it may feel higher than expected. But let's talk relative to national averages. One data set from a cost of living site said that Dallas's housing is 5% cheaper than the US average for housing. We're talking buying and renting, while utilities were about 16% higher than the national average. Another said overall cost of living in Dallas is about 1% higher than the national average. So you're getting a somewhat mixed message here. Housing relatively is affordable, but other costs definitely are creeping up. So what does this mean exactly for you? If you're buying your first home and your budget is say in the $300,000 to $450,000 range, well, DFW still gives you more options than many high-cost metros, but you're not in the rock bottom cost territory anymore. You're still going to want to budget carefully. Interest rates, down payments, property taxes are all going to matter here. Utilities in DFW, the utility costs can certainly be notable, especially because of the climate. For instance, our hot summers are definitely going to require the AC and at times significantly heavy usage of your AC. Now, according to one site, monthly electricity bills in the area can range between $120 and $180 depending on your provider. Now, home size and usage definitely is going to change that for sure. For instance, myself, I am in a rather large house and my utility bill is probably between the $300 to $400 range, and on top of that as well, I've got an electric vehicle. So my electricity bills can run north of $500 if not $600 because that's also rolling in costs of what would otherwise be my gas bill. Now, another breakdown showed utility costs in Dallas being about 15% higher than the national average. So yes, you definitely want to budget more for back to the wall hot summer months and higher electricity bills. Now, DFW is a large metro. If you're commuting, traffic and auto costs are definitely going to be a big factor. Now, a data set found that Dallas has transportation costs about 9% lower than the national average. Now, public transportation is definitely available, but for many people, driving is going to be the default option. So fuel costs, insurance, maintenance, they're all going to add up. Also, living farther out might get you a little bit more house for your money, but it will definitely add to your commute time and transportation costs overall. Now, Texas does not have a state income tax, which is a big advantage for many, but that often means that property taxes, and sometimes some higher other local taxes are going to pick up some of the slack. Now, it's important to check property tax rates for any area that you're looking at purchasing in, especially if you're wanting to be here long term. Now, also, if your budget is tied to, let's say, take-home pay, you'll want to factor in insurance, meaning homeowners and auto insurance, maintenance, reserves, HOA fees, if applicable. Just in essence, you need to look at the full package. Now, I do honestly have a lot of people that reach out to me, whether it be from YouTube or just social media in general. And one of the biggest scares, or I guess things that they are not aware of, is the property tax here in Texas. I'm not just talking the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but Texas in general. Property taxes are going to be high. But the biggest way to look at it is, hey, I'm not paying any state income tax for this amount of wage, or if it's a dual income, you've got two different wages. You tie those together, you're going to be paying a substantial amount of state income tax, assuming that you're coming from one of the many other states that where, you do pay a state income tax. Just understand that your property tax is going to eat up that savings. But again, that's something that I could work alongside with you if you're relocating from another state that does have a state income tax. We can sit down together, kind of run the numbers. I have a degree in mathematics, so numbers are my thing. everything. We can kind of figure out a rough budget for you that you're comfortable with, depending on what you're looking to spend, as well as how much you're potentially saving by moving to Texas. But again, big picture here, guys. Now, on the daily life side of things, one report showed that in the DFW area, the CPI, or Consumer Price Index, for all items rose about 0.9% in the last 12 months, ending July of 2025. Now, grocery prices, restaurant meals, clothes, some of these are all at a slightly above national average. For example, Dallas food grocery cost was about 1% lower than the US average in one comparison. So you won't necessarily feel like everything is cheap. It's just going to be relatively moderate. Now, putting all that together, you might find a home you love, but the total monthly budget might look more than your home payment plus taxes, insurance, and utilities, and commuting, which equals a bigger number than just price of house divided by 30 years. It pays to run the full numbers. So, okay, let's go ahead and get real here, guys, because any honest discussion about cost of living needs both the good and, of course, the not so good. So let's talk about the pros first. Now, DFW offers strong value relative to many big coastal metros. And we're not just talking coastal metros, we're just talking any large metros. So if you're coming from somewhere like, let's say, New York, San Francisco, LA, you're likely going to feel like you're getting way more for your money in terms of space, newer homes, yards, and so on. Now, the no income tax factor is also going to be a huge plus. The job market here in DFW is strong and growing, so that stability plays into the cost of living decisions. And if you find the right area and the right home, you could end up with a great lifestyle advantage. Now, second, because housing is still comparatively affordable, especially renting or buying in the suburbs, it opens up flexibility. Maybe you can buy sooner than you would have thought, or even afford certainly more space. And I'll be the first one to admit here, I'm originally from Washington State. Military took me down to California, both very unaffordable states in terms of buying a house. But what I can tell you is I moved here in my mid-20s, and I had really no intention out the gate to buy a house because I had been so accustomed to the unaffordability of California and Washington, and just never really assumed that purchasing a house was going to be something I would do. Well, fast forward, I guess, 6 months into having my first job here, and lo and behold, I purchased my first house because it is far more affordable here, even with a high property tax, than where I had been living previous. And since then, I've been blessed with the opportunity to grow my business and purchase a handful of rental properties as well. And right now, I'm also building our forever home. So yes, Texas has given myself as well as my family a tremendous opportunity to be able to settle down, raise a family here, and really just make this our home. But let's go ahead and move on to the cons. Now, these are going to be the trade-offs. First, although housing is relatively affordable, prices are definitely rising here. Inventories, I would say, are not certainly as tight as they have been previously. You're going to get kind of an arrangement of a house that just hit the market and has multiple offers, or a house that has been sitting for months. More or less, you're probably going to see a house sit because our inventory is rising, but mortgage rates, in addition to that, are continuing to remain elevated compared to recent historic lows. And some reports suggest that DFW home prices are flattening or even cooling, which I'll be the first to admit. As a realtor, you can certainly find a great deal here when it comes to houses, assuming it's not that one rare off situation with multiple offers. But yes, with higher mortgage rates than we would love to have, as well as cooling prices, you as a buyer could get a solid deal on a house here. So if you're buying, your timing and neighborhood are going to definitely matter a lot. Now, second, utility and energy costs here, especially in the summer, can certainly hit you hard because Texas summers are fierce. Air conditioning becomes a large line item. If you have a large pool, let's say an older home, you might face higher energy usage. And third, commute and location are going to be your trade-offs. If you go farther out to save on housing, your commute may lengthen, which eats your time, money, stress, and also living in newer subdivisions may mean fewer mature amenities at first. Sometimes cheaper housing means less convenient of a location. Now, in addition to that as well, taxes are going to be hitting costs. Remember, property tax, homeowners association fees in many suburbs here, maintenance costs, especially for a little bit older homes. All of those things can add up, and people often underestimate the ongoing costs after the purchase price of a home. Now, sometimes you move to a place because of a lower cost of living, but then you upgrade the lifestyle, meaning that bigger home, the nicer neighborhood, you spend more, and suddenly your lower cost of living actually disappears. It's important to align your lifestyle with your budget. So let's go ahead and bring this week's video home. What could your budget get you in DFW in 2025? Suppose you have a, let's say, target budget of $400,000. Let's say that's going to be your purchase price. In many places, that would get you a moderate home or even a premium, depending on the the location. Now in DFW, you're likely going to find a 3 or 4 bedroom home in a growing suburban neighborhood, perhaps built in the last 10 or 20 years with a yard. But of course, guys, location is going to matter the most here. Going to change everything. If you're looking for a premium suburb versus a suburb on the outskirts, $400,000 is going to be drastically different. Let's give you one example. A house in Carrollton, $400,000. In Carrollton, you're probably looking at about 30 or 40-year-old home. Maybe going to be updated. It may not be updated. I would say probably leaning more towards not updated versus updated. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, if you're still looking in the North Dallas suburbs, but let's say you want to go to the outskirts. Maybe you want a newer home. Maybe you want a little bit longer commute, but you want a newer home, maybe nicer amenities in terms of what may be there, just the commute's going to be longer. Let's say Anna or Melissa, your money's going to go much further in Anna or Melissa than it would in Carrollton, even though they are both in North Dallas, just varying levels of North Dallas. $400,000 will get you probably a new construction, if not a fairly new construction home in Anna or Melissa versus, as I mentioned, Carrollton. It's going to get you a much probably older and dated home at $400K. Now, if you're renting and have a budget of, let's say, $1,500 a month for housing, you could find a fairly decent 2-bedroom apartment in the suburbs of DFW. For example, in Fort Worth, that same thing could get you maybe 1,000 square foot, 2-bedroom for about $1,500 a month, according to recent data. Now, Fort Worth, if you want to buy, running all the other costs, such as taxes, utilities, maintenance, and commute, is going to be key here. This is what I would suggest though for you. Before you decide, do a full all-in monthly budget. This is something that I sit down with clients with all the time. Let's discuss your mortgage, which means your principal and interest, property tax rate, the amount that you would hypothetically spend if you're buying a house, let's say again at $400,000, potentially any homeowner's insurance costs, utilities, commute costs such as gas and tolls, routine maintenance, and then of course your lifestyle spending. Only then are you going to be able to compare it to what you're comfortably paying now and make a decision on what makes most sense. So if you made it this far, I just want to say thank you for sticking with me. To wrap it up, the Dallas-Fort Worth area in 2025 offers a compelling value proposition, guys. Relatively affordable housing compared to many metro areas, no state income tax, strong job market, but it's not a free lunch. Rising housing prices, summer utility bills, commute trade-offs, and hidden costs are all going to be deserving of your attention. So if you're thinking about making the move or even just curious about what your budget could buy you here, I would love to be able to help. Make sure to reach out to me. All of my information is going to be in the description below. All of it's going to be in a pinned comment as well. You can reach out to me via Instagram DMs. You can shoot me a text on my direct cell phone. All of that information, like I said, is below. You could schedule a Zoom call, give me a call, whatever is easiest for you. Please reach out to me. I would love to be able to help. Now, if you found this video helpful, please make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos that I post. I upload here weekly, and I appreciate all of the support. And always stay tuned for next week's video.